everyone. Welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. I'm in my office for a few minutes, and I am just looking forward to presenting to you a very special guest. I'd like to ask you a question first before we get started. When is the last time you've been to an art show? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. It's not just an art show, it's a show about how one person used her gifts. But it's more than that. It's how she found her gifts in an unusual circumstance. Some people, when they go through a circumstance, whether it's stress, a crisis, anxiety, their whole world falls apart. And, we're all at different stages in how to put our world back together again. This podcast is about a perspective at a point in my guest life where she uses her gifts to do something beautiful, something positive with the energy that she has. I'm still just in awe of the beauty that she's created and the beauty that she is sharing with so many people. It's my honor to welcome you to Transition Awareness Breathing Art Show on behalf of Dawn Train. Let's get started. Gosh. So you're open to like framers. They're kind of artists, kind of.
They are. Take this piece for instance. I literally made this one thinking, I wanted to have something small and takeawayable, and be able to have a lower priced item. And the framers grabbed it from me and said, we want to take this and we want to frame it. I was like, okay.
Wow.
And lo and behold, I had to come back the next day and bring them something. And they showed me just the mat alone. And I was like, oh my gosh, you can do this with framing. And she's like, yeah. So it's opened up a whole nother world of different mats and backgrounds.
Wow. It's beautiful. This one reminds me of waffles. I don't know how
Of what?
Waffles.
A lot of people say fiesta, and that there's like some type of window, like somewhere downtown San Antonio that it reminds them of.
Yeah. Also, screens, like in Japan. I lived in Japan for a while, and they have the beautiful screens, so it just opens up all kinds of art in people's minds.
Yes.
It's a gift. I mean, because you're sharing something that opens up people's minds.
It does, and it's become fun and playful for me too, because now I've started making like a 3D fish scene, and this one sold the day I was setting up, and I already had a second piece commissioned. Wow. And I had so much fun, I went overboard on that piece on top of it.
And this is all little papers.
It's all paper. And you can see how like the blue and the purple fish are not as thick as the red and the yellow fish. And that way, using thinner strips gives me a bigger chance to be more defined, because the bigger the paper you go, the bigger the element is.
Oh.
So I'm eavesdropping because I want to hear your process.
Wow. This one, the seahorse. It's almost like what's that? Is it like a needlepoint?
So
it doesn't.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that. The seahorse and the fox. I went online and I looked up stained glass window patterns to see what I could do, because a lot of my elements you can see are rounded, but some, when you get into like tight, like defined lines and images, I've had to go more geo on it instead of rounded, because it becomes more difficult. And so stained glass window was the way to go.
Stained glass window. That is totally awesome. Wow. Beautiful. Wow. Wow. Okay, so this piece, tell us about this piece right here,
So
Don.
this was my first piece that I started to make that was very big. And it was because Claude, the executive curator here, who asked me to be in the show, said, do something different. Go big. Just go different. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm in my little comfort zone having fun. And here I was like, okay, so I did this. And it was a lot of fun. And I even went all the way over to this extreme in that when I do this, I have so many leftover pieces, and an artist never throws away their scraps. And so I was like, what can I do? And I just threw the stuff down on a bulletin board, spread it out how it landed, and then built upon it. And I call this my recycled piece, leftover pieces, because and this was the first time I combined every skill set together with the cones sticking out or thin towers and layering on top of each other.
This is totally spiritual to me. You know, God has no leftover pieces. It's so beautiful. Everyone is has beauty within them. Even what we consider might be we put aside our gifts or our thoughts. It turns into something beautiful. Wow.
So on top of doing all of this and trying to expand and go bigger and different, I was also trying to figure out how do I put my love of Judaism in. And my three best friends, we exchanged Hanukkah gifts, and I was like, oh, what can I make them? And I was like, oh, let me try and make a hamsa. And I made it, and they loved it, of course. And I thought, okay, it's nothing that great, but they loved it, and I was so happy. And I was like, okay, let me keep working on these. And I kept going, and it evolved into where I was able to do the 3D elements and patterns. But again, when I took it to the framing shop, they said, oh, we can put the blessing around the outside of it. Wow. And I'm like, I never even thought about it, and it elevates it to another level.
Wow. That's an awesome framing shop. Yeah, you guys make a good partnership.
Art Inc. is one of the best.
Art Inc.
It was this tree of life also that I brought in, and it didn't have the owl. And
so cute.
The person I was working with said, it needs a little owl right there. I was like, okay. But the trees are also fun for me because I hide elements in them. And here I'm having to even remember where I hid the elements. But you have a bumblebee right there. You have a bird on a nest right there. There's another bird on a nest. And I thought there was a butterfly. There's the butterfly. And so I've hidden little elements in there too because it's such a big piece. But it's a tree. It needs to have life in it also.
A tree of life. That is so awesome. Totally, totally beautiful. Totally awesome. Oh, wow. I just want to give you guys an extra look at all of Dawn's pieces. Now, what if somebody wants to, I'm going to put this podcast out. It goes to every podcast media. What if somebody wants to buy one of your pieces? How can
they can come here through the end of September. All of the art will be displayed, and they can also reach me by my email.
Okay, I'll tag it on the.
Oh, good. And so we'll tag that in there too, and they can reach out and go from there.
Wow. Okay, Dawn. So you have given everyone, all of us, and even people here at the JCC, have a little bit of audience, a wonderful tour and, how you got started. I was wondering, do you have a favorite piece as we close up, our session? I don't know if that's
I can say
fair question, but I was just wondering.
Like, the fish scene was so much fun and so different, yet the fox is still to this day one of my favorite pieces, and it's one of the very first pieces I did, which is why there's no 3D elements to it, but for some reason, it just wows me.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of my favorite pieces, believe it or not, is like the little heart up there. And as small as it is, it's still just fun. I think my last favorite piece is one that we showed you over on the far wall, which is this one.
Okay, this is the one that you named.
This is the Stacy.
Stacy.
And it's my favorite because it's my first out of this type of category that just brought in so much color and so much movement, and I was able to do the different layers with it, and it was just a lot of fun.
Wow, totally beautiful. You know, and you know, I'm filming this, but I just think the beauty is even more when you see it.
This is the one artwork that you cannot go off of photography on.
For sure, yeah.
It does
definitely
not do it justice for some reason, and it's a hard thing to do, but
wow. Thank you, Dawn, for your time. Thank you for sharing your gift. And I just wish you all the best of success and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and I look forward to talking to you again next time.